Alrighty, folks, you know I'm feeling great on a Tuesday morning because Gold Club members cashed in on 6 winning tickets yesterday on my premium page for Monday. We had the Rockets and the Nuggets in the NBA, Montana State and Robert Morris in college basketball, Toronto Maple Leafs in the NHL, and we also cashed in on a 2-team parlay. And the only way you could have accessed all those winners is to join my full access, all-inclusive Gold Club membership. Gold Club members get access to every single premium selection of mine, every single package, every single day for the next 30 days. And of course, that winning day is also going to put us at 3-0 in our last 3 Gold Club plays in that package alone. 71% in our last 31 plays in that same membership. And the good news is I've got another Gold Club play going off here on Tuesday. That play is already posted and ready for access in the post section on my premium page. Before we go ahead and move on, just want to take a quick time out and welcome you to my free pick video here today for Tuesday, March 11th, 2025. Happy Tuesday to you. Hopefully you had a great start to the new week. And of course, if you're joining me for the first time here today, my name is Brock Page. I've been dishing out free sports picks on YouTube since 2016. Once again, folks, we're 3-0 in our last 3 Gold Club plays, 71% in our last 31 in that same package, 7-2 in our last 9 chairman picks, 78% in our last 18 NHL tier package plays, 73% in our last dozen board member picks, 60% in our last 25 NBA tier membership plays, 7-3 in our last 10 crowd pleaser teasers, 69% in our last 14 underdog tier package picks, 67% in our last 18 extra daily picks, and finally, folks, we got the W in 4 out of our last 5 daily best plays. And as always, I've said it in most videos, if you're skeptical about getting a membership, I certainly don't blame you. I do have plenty of free content on my premium page as well, so you can access content that you don't have to pay for. Just show up and take a look at it. And one of the things I do for free is, well, I include my current overall win-loss record in every package. You can go to the post section right now and access that for free. You don't have to pay for anything to see my current overall record. Now, folks, I currently have over 2,170 members who are signed up and active on my premium page right now. And with that, let's go ahead and dive into some free content. Starting in college basketball, we're going to break down this Cincinnati-Oklahoma State matchup. That'll be a 12:30 Eastern tip-off at the T-Mobile Center in Kansas City. It's 12 versus 13 in the Big 12. Cincinnati's -6, totals 139. The Bearcats are 17-14 on the year. Oklahoma State just 15-16. The Cowboys have also lost 10 of 12 away from their home court this year. And when it comes to defensive play, I'll tell you, it's really been a killer for the Cowboys. OSU's giving up over 76 points a game, allowing nearly double-digit 3 balls a night. And they're taking on a Cincy team on the other side who covered the point spread in 8 out of their last 10. Covers against heavy hitters like Houston, Baylor, and Iowa State. Jizzle James averages over 12.5 points per contest. Dylan Mitchell with 6.5 rebounds a game, 61% from the field. And when it comes to defensive play, Cincinnati limits their opponents. There's more than one of them. Cincinnati's limiting their opponents to just 65 points a game. Now, total-wise, oddly enough, Cincy games went 7-3 to the over in their last 10. OSU 60% to the over in their last 10 themselves. I like Cincinnati -6 over 139. Next game, Alabama A&M taking on Grambling, 2 o'clock Eastern tip-off at the Gateway Center Arena in Atlanta. It's 8 versus 9 in the SWAC. Grambling's -5.5, totals 133. Now, listen, this Grambling team has definitely been tough on the defensive end of the floor. Actually, just 68 points a game they're allowing this year. Only 6 3 balls a game they're giving up. And they're facing an Alabama A&M squad who failed to cover in 8 out of their last 10 themselves. A&M's currently in the bottom 15 in shooting from the field. When it comes to shooting from the stripe, the Bulldogs are making only 66% of their free throws. Now, A&M saw unders recently in their last 6 straight. Grambling 60% to the under in their last 10. I like Grambling minus 5.5, under 133. All right, next matchup, Pitt, Notre Dame, 2 o'clock Eastern start at the Spectrum Center in Charlotte. 12 versus 13 in the ACC. The Pitt Panthers are minus 4, totals 137.5. The Panthers failed to cover in 8 out of their last 10. Failures to cover against the likes of NC State, Georgia Tech, and Miami. They also took the outright loss in their most recent meeting with Notre Dame. That was a 76-72 loss at Notre Dame. And speaking of the Irish, they got the W in 3 out of their last 5 themselves. Victories over the likes of Cal, Stanford, and once again Pitt. The Irish definitely shoot well from 3 land, and they're led by Marcus Burton, who averages over 22 points a game. Burton's actually 3rd in the country in points per contest. And Matt Alaco, he's knocking down 45% of his attempts from downtown. Irish games went 6-2 to the over in their last 8. Pitt saw overs recently with Boston College, Syracuse, and Virginia. I like Notre Dame plus 4, over 137.5. All right, next matchup, Colorado-TCU, 3 o'clock, Kansas City. 9 versus 16 in the Big 12. TCU's minus 2, totals 134. And both schools with their fair share of struggles away from home. TCU just 2-9 in their travels. Colorado 0-10 away from Boulder. And both schools really toward the bottom of the barrel with regard to shooting from 3 land. Now, Colorado games went 60% to the under in their last 10. TCU saw unders recently against Baylor, West Virginia, and this very Colorado team just a few days ago. I like the under 134. All right, next contest, Cal, Virginia Tech, 4:30 Eastern tip-off in the Spectrum Center. 10 versus 15 in the ACC. The Cal Golden Bears are minus 2.5, totals 139 and a hook. Now, both schools are 13 and 18 respectively. Not great seasons for either team. And listen, both schools have definitely struggled on the defensive end of the floor. The Golden Bears give up 77 points a game, bottom 5 in guarding the 3-ball. Meanwhile, Virginia Tech on the other side, well, not much better. They're 303rd in defensive field goal percentage, bottom 15 in blocks per game. Hokie matchups did go 60% to the over in their last 10. Cal saw overs recently with Notre Dame, Boston College, and SMU. I like the over 139.5. All right, next contest, not on our big screen behind me, but yes, it is. There it is right there. It's going to be Siena taking on Rider, 6 o'clock Eastern tip-off in good old Atlantic City, New Jersey. This is an 8 versus 9 matchup in the Metro. Siena's minus 4, totals 137. Siena's 14 and 17 on the year, 4 and 10 away from home. And out of the Saints' last 8 ball games, they failed to cover in all of those contests except for 2. Now, the Saints have definitely had their issues on defense, and their opponents are making 75% of their free throws against them. They're facing a Rider team who won their last 3 straight, nearly 80 points a game they averaged during that short span. And out of their last 10 outings, the Bronx successfully covered in 70% of those games. TJ Weeks is averaging 14 points a night. Tariq Ingram is 51% from the field, double-digit points a game for Ingram. And when it comes to the total, both schools saw overs in 7 out of their last 10, respectively. Plenty of overs between both of these programs. I like Rider plus 4, over 137. Next matchup, Sam Houston State taking on UTEP, 6:30 Eastern tip-off in Huntsville, Alabama. That's the Von Braun Center. 8 versus 9 in Conference USA. UTEP's minus 1.5, totals 146. The Miners are 17 and 14 on the year, but just 4 and 8 away from home. Now, UTEP's also in the middle of a 7-game skid. They failed to cover in all of those contests during that losing streak. The Miners are currently 326th in defensive boards. And they're just sending too many people to the foul line. Very not an overly fundamental team with regard to defense. UTEP's allowing nearly 16 made free throws a game on defense. And they're taking on one of the best three-point shooting programs in the country in Sam Houston. The Bearcats are making just about 40% of their long balls as a team. They're fifth in the country in that particular category. Lamar Wilkerson averages 20 points a game, 45% from long range. And Cameron Hefner scores over 13.5 points per contest himself, 80% from the stripe. Now, as a team, the Bearcats got the W in 5 out of their last 7. The Bearcats saw overs in their last 3 straight. UTEP 6-1 in the over in their last 7. I like Sam Houston plus 1.5, over 146. All right, next matchup. That is not on our big screen, but it's going to be Maine taking on Vermont, 7 o'clock Eastern tip-off. 2 versus 3 in the American East. Vermont's -3, totals 123.5. The Catamounts are 21-11 on the year, 13-2 as the home team. Meanwhile, Maine's 18-13 themselves, 7-10 on the road. When it comes to the number, the Black Bears failed to cover in 8 out of their last 10. They're in the bottom 20 in offensive boards per game. They're also averaging just 6 made 3 balls per contest. They don't get to the line much. They're 339th in free throw attempts per game. They're facing a Vermont team who defends the 3-ball well, and they rarely get into foul trouble. The Catamounts are in the top 25 in fewest free throws allowed. And no real surprise here, folks. Vermont allows only 64 points a game. Top 15 in the nation in points allowed per contest. Now, Vermont saw unders recently with New Hampshire and Bryant. Meanwhile, Maine saw unders recently with UMass Lowell and UMBC. I like Vermont -3, under 123.5. All right, next matchup, Arizona State taking on Kansas State. 7 o'clock Eastern start in Kansas City. 10 versus 15 in the Big 12. Kansas State -5.5, total 142 and a hook. And both schools with their fair share of issues on offense. The Wildcats make just 68% of their foul shots, 327th in free throws made per game. Meanwhile, Arizona State tends to turn it over a bunch themselves. They're 301st in defensive boards as well. The Sun Devils saw unders recently with Texas Tech and this very Kansas State team. That head-to-head meeting actually saw just 110 total points. Meanwhile, K-State games went 7-1 to the under in their last 8. I like the under 142.5. Next game, Syracuse, Florida State, 7 o'clock Eastern tip-off in the Spectrum Center. 11 versus 14 in the ACC. Florida State's -2.5, total 152. The Noles are 17-14 on the year, winning record against the point spread. Syracuse 13-18 themselves, 2-9 away from home. The Qs also took the loss in 5 out of their last 7. Little threat shooting the long ball. Syracuse averages only 6 made 3-pointers a game. And this Florida State team, well, they've played some pretty tough defense for the most part. The Noles limit opposing shooters to just 41% from the field. They also covered the point spread recently versus SMU, Virginia, and Louisville. Seminole contest went 6-3 to the under in their last 9. Syracuse saw unders against the likes of SMU, NC State, and Duke. Give me Florida State -2.5, under 152. Next contest, Prairie View, Florida A&M, 8:30 Eastern start at the Gateway Center Arena. 7 versus 10 in the SWAC. Florida A&M is -8, totals 144. Now, folks, the Rattlers are one of the best covering teams in the nation. They're not the best, but they're one of them. They're up there. 78% against the point spread this year, covers in 9 out of their last 10. The Rattlers are averaging nearly double-digit 3-pointers a game on offense. And on the defensive end, well, A&M's opponents are shooting only 69% from the stripe against them. Not sure if that's strategic, fouling the right people, or just dumb luck. But A&M's opponents don't like making their foul shots against them. Of course, they're facing a Prairie View team who's just 5-26 overall, 2-19 away from home. The Panthers are making only 6 3 balls a game. They're one of the worst offensive rebounding schools in the nation. PV is currently in the bottom 5 in offensive boards per contest. Now, Prairie View games went 7-3 to the under in their last 10. Florida A&M with unders recently versus Alabama A&M, Alabama State, and this very Prairie View team. Could be Florida A&M -8, under 144. All right, next game, Fairfield, Sacred Heart, 8:30 Boardwalk Hall. Yes, that is Atlantic City. 7 versus 10 in the Metro. Sacred Heart's -3.5, totals 143. Sacred Heart with overs in 6 out of their last 10. Overs against the likes of Iona, Manhattan, and St. Peter's. Pioneers are averaging over 76 points a game, double-digit three-pointers per contest. Anquan Hill knocks down 44% of his long balls, dozen points a game. And Tanner Thomas averages over 14.5 points a night himself. Meanwhile, Fairfield definitely shoots it, well from the foul line, and they don't turn it over a whole lot. The Stags are led by Prophet Johnson, who's averaging 13.5 points a game, 7.7 boards per contest. And Braden Sparks, he's averaging nearly double-digit points a game himself, 80% from the foul line. Fairfield saw overs recently with Quinnipiac, Manhattan, and Iona. And once again, Sacred Heart on the other side. Their games went 60% to the over in their last 10. I like the over, 143. All right, next matchup, not on our big screen, but it's going to be Albany taking on Bryant, 9 o'clock East. Bryant's -10, totals 153. This is a 1 versus 4 matchup in the American East. Bryant's 21-11 on the year, 10-3 as the home team. Albany 17-15 themselves, just 40% against the point spread. And listen, the Great Danes have had one heck of a time on defense. Albany's in the bottom 10 in the country in defensive field goal percentage. And listen, they're taking on a Bryant school who's had little issues this year getting to the rack. The Bulldogs are 10th in the nation in field goals per game, 5th in offensive boards. Earl Timberlake snags 8.5 rebounds a game, 15 points per contest. And Rafi Pinzone scoring over 18.5 points per contest himself, 88% from the stripe. Now, Bryant saw overs recently with Maine and NJIT. Meanwhile, Albany games went 4-3 to the over in their last 7. I like Bryant -10, over 153. Next contest, FIU, Western Kentucky, 9 o'clock Eastern start. Huntsville, Alabama, Von Braun Center. 7 versus 10, Conference USA. Western Kentucky's -3.5, totals 143. Now, the Hilltoppers are 17-14 on the year, winning record against the point spread. FIU just 9-22 overall, 1-13 away from campus. More recently, the Panthers failed to cover in 7 out of their last 8. They took the outright loss in all of those games besides one. And on the offensive end, FIU's averaging only 69 points a game, bottom 5 in shooting the three-pointer. The Panthers are shooting just 28% from outside the arc. They're taking on a Western Kentucky squad who got the W in 3 out of their last 5. Doing a nice job contesting shots. The Hilltoppers limit their opponents to just 41% from the field, 31% from three-land. When it comes to the total in this one, Western Kentucky games went 4-2 to the under in their last 6. FIU 5-1 to the under in their last 6 themselves. I like Western Kentucky -3.5, under 143. And with that, we're going to jump into our next and final breakdown for the video, not on our big screen, but it's going to be UCF taking on Utah, 9:30 Eastern start at the T-Mobile Center. 11 versus 14 in the Big 12. Utah's -1.5, totals 156 and a hook. Utah games went 60% to the under in their last 10. Unders against the likes of Arizona, UCF, and Kansas State. The Utes are holding their competition to just 41% from the field on defense. Meanwhile, UCF games on the other side went 60% to the under in their last 10 themselves. Unders against West Virginia, Oklahoma State, and this very Utah team. That head-to-head contest saw just 148 total points. I like the under 156.5. All right, moving on. NBA, Nets Cavaliers, 7 o'clock East. Cleveland's the massive 17.5 point favorite. Totals 225. Cleveland's 54-10 on the year, 29-4 at home. Brooklyn, 21 games under 500, 12-21 on the road. The Nets are also on a 7-game skid, bottom 5 in defensive field goal percentage. That's certainly good news for the Cavs because they shoot it well from everywhere. Cleveland leads the NBA in shooting the 3-ball, third in field goals made. Donovan Mitchell averages 24 points a night, 4 boards, 4 assists. Darius Garland drills 41% of his deep balls, 20 points a night for him. Now, these teams' last 9 head-to-head meetings, the Cavs got the W in all of those contests except for one. If you're into historical trends, certainly want to think about that one there. Now, Cleveland games went 5-4 to the over in their last 9. Brooklyn saw overs with Golden State, San Antonio, and Portland recently. I like Cleveland minus 17.5, over 225. Next game, Wizards, Pistons, 7 o'clock East. Detroit's minus 14, totals 233. The Pistons are 7 games over 500, 39-27 against the point spread. Meanwhile, Washington just 13-50 themselves, 6-24 on the road. The Wizards allow more points a game than any other team besides one. They're also the worst defensive rebounding team in the NBA. They're facing a Detroit squad who rebounds well on offense themselves. The Pistons are a top 10 offensive rebounding team, 10th in field goals made. Cade Cunningham scores over 25.5 points a night, 6 boards and 9 assists. Malik Beasley's knocking down 41% of his attempts from beyond the arc, 16.5 points a game. Now, out of the Pistons' last 10 contests, they covered the number in 80% of those matchups. Detroit saw overs recently with the Clippers, Utah, and Denver. Meanwhile, the Wizards saw overs recently with the Jazz, Blazers, and Pacers. I like Detroit minus 14, over 233. Next matchup, Bucks, Pacers, 7:30 Eastern. Jeez. Bucks, Pacers, 7:30 Eastern tip. Milwaukee's minus 3, totals 232.5. The Bucks saw overs in 4 out of their last 5. Overs against Orlando, Dallas, and Atlanta. And listen, when it comes to shooting from long distance, there's not many teams doing it better than the Bucks. Actually, it's just one team doing it better than them. Milwaukee's the second best 3-point shooting team in the game. Gary Trent Jr. is knocking down 41% of his long balls, double-digit points a night. And Giannis Antetokounmpo is averaging over 30.5 points per contest himself. Dozen boards, 5 assists for the Greek Freak. Meanwhile, the Pacers on the other side, well, they saw overs recently with Miami, LA Clippers, and Washington. Now, the Pacers are currently 3rd in the league in offensive field goal percentage themselves. Pascal Siakam knocks down 40% of his 3 balls, over 20.5 points a game. And Miles Turner is averaging 15.5 points per contest himself, 40% from downtown. I like the over 232.5. All right, next and final game in the NBA, very short slate. Clippers, Pelicans, 8 o'clock Eastern tip-off. The LA Clippers are minus 6, totals 223. Clippers are 6 games over 500. Pelicans 17-48. The Pels are also just 11-21 in the Smoothie King Center, losers of their last 4 straight. The Pelicans are giving up nearly 120 points a game on defense, second highest defensive field goal percentage in the entire association. They're also allowing 15 made 3-pointers per contest. And they're facing a Clipper team who shoots it well from the stripe. LA's currently on a 3-game winning streak as well. James Harden scores 22 points a game, 87% from the foul line. Kawhi Leonard averages 18 points a night himself, 5 rebounds a game. I'll tell you, just wait till he starts heating up. Kawhi is a guy who doesn't care about much, and that's one of the things he doesn't care about is the first half of the season. Well, I think we're going to start to see him ramp up his quality of play if he decides to care. This guy doesn't care about anything, but I would have to imagine that Kawhi's going to start ramping things up, and once playoff time comes, we're going to see the best player on the team. That's what I think, at least. All right, both teams saw overs in 5 out of their last 9, respectively. Plenty of overs between both of these organizations. I like the Clippers -6 over 223. And with that, folks, we're going to jump into some NHL action. Pretty big slate here. We're going to cap all of them, starting off with the Blue Jackets at the Devils, 7 o'clock Eastern puck drop. New Jersey's -165, total 6. Jacob Markstrom expected in the net for the Devils. Elvis Merzlikins for Columbus. Elvis is 22-16 with a goals against average of .299. More recently, the Blue Jackets got the W in 5 out of their last 7, scoring a whole lot of goals on the offensive end of the ice. The Blue Jackets are a top 10 goal-producing team. Kirill Marchenko has 24 goals on the year, plus 33 when he's on a shift. He's 4th in the league in plus-minus. And Zach Werenski has 48 assists on the year, 68 total points. Now, when it comes to the puck line, the Blue Jackets are covering in 62% of their games. They're taking on a Jersey team who's got a losing record against the point spread themselves. Failed to cover in their last 3 at home. More recently, Jersey took the loss in 3 out of their last 4. All kinds of problems getting the puck in the net. They averaged only 1.7 goals a game during that 4-game stretch I just mentioned. Now, oddly enough, total-wise, Columbus saw overs in 3 out of their last 5 road games. 70% to the over in their last 10 at any location. I like the Blue Jackets plus 1.5, over 6. Next matchup, Panthers-Bruins, 7 o'clock East. Florida's 220, totals 5.5. Sergei Bobrovsky for the Panthers, Jeremy Swayman for Boston. Now, the Swayman has a losing record in the crease this year, save percentage in the 800s. And more recently, well, the Bruins as a team, they've just had a tough time getting the W. Boston losers of 8 out of their last 10. Winless in their last 5 in the Garden. And they're taking on a red-hot Florida team who's on a 6-game winning streak themselves. 8-1 straight up in their last 9. The Panthers are currently getting more pucks on net a game than any other team except for one. Sam Reinhart, 32 goals on the year, team leader in points. Alex Barkov has the most assists on the roster. Now, total-wise, 3 out of Boston's last 5 in the Garden did get over the total. I like the Panthers minus 1.5, over 5.5 goals. Panthers might put that one over the total themselves. All right, next contest, Senators, Flyers, 7 o'clock East. Ottawa's $1.20 on the road, total 5.5. Anton Forsberg for the Sens, Sam Urson for Philadelphia. And listen, to be fair, both goaltenders with their fair share of struggles. Both netminders with save percentages in the 800s. And when it comes to the number, Philadelphia saw overs recently with Calgary, Pittsburgh, and Edmonton. Meanwhile, Ottawa games, 9-1 to the over in their last 10, 6-0 to the over in their last 6 on the road. Could be a fun one in South Philly. I'm expecting a lot of goals in this one. Give me the over 5.5. Next game, Golden Knights, Penguins, 7 o'clock East. Vegas is minus 215, total 6.5. Ilya Samsonov for the Knights, Alex Nedeljkovic for Pittsburgh. I got it right. My goodness, I struggle with that name. Anyway, Alex has a goals against average in the 3s, save percentage of .891. Of course, as a team, the Pens took the loss in 8 out of their last 10. They're allowing more goals a game than any other team besides one. They're facing a Vegas squad on the other side who's getting 31 pucks on net a game, 6th in scoring. Could be a long day for Nedeljkovic. Jack Eichel has 57 assists on the year, 77 total points. Eichel's currently a plus 27. Thomas Hurdle, he's lit up the lamp 27 times himself. Golden Knight games went 4-2 to the over in their last 6. Pittsburgh, 4 out of their last 5 at home, got over the number themselves. Giving the Golden Knights minus 1.5, over 6.5 goals. Next contest, Lightning Hurricanes, 7:30 East. Game of the night, that should be a good one. Carolina minus $1.30, totals 5.5. Pyotr Kochetkov for the Canes, Andrei Vasilevsky for Tampa Bay. And a real good goalie play out of both of these netminders. Andrei's 30-17 with a .225 goals against average, .920 save percentage. Meanwhile, Kochetkov on the other side, 23-11 on the year himself, goals against average of .247. Now, total-wise, both teams saw unders in 6 out of their last 10, respectively. A handful of unders in recent head-to-head gatherings as well. The under cashed in 6 out of these teams' last 9 meetings. So, listen, once again, if you're into historical trends, plenty of unders to go around. I like the under 5.5. All right, next game, Avalanche Wild, 8 o'clock East. Colorado's 205, totals 5.5. Mackenzie Blackwood for the Avs. Phil Gustafson for Minnesota. Gustafson's 24-14 with 4 shutouts on the year. He's also got a .260 goals against average, save percentage of .914. As good as the Avs have been, well, they will be in the second of a back-to-back here on Tuesday. Failed to cover the puck line recently against the likes of the Blues, Vancouver, and another team, which I completely botched the call letters. I wrote SH. What could SH possibly be? I think of Sacred Heart. But anyway, failed to cover the puck line recently against the likes of the Blues and Canucks. Now, Avs games did go 60% to the over in their last 10. I like Minnesota plus 1.5, over 5.5 goals. Next game, Rangers Jets, 8 o'clock East. Winnipeg's $1.75, total 6. Connor Hellebuck for the Jets, Igor Shesterkin for New York. And listen, as solid as Igor's been, he is winning in only 50% of his starts. And that's on his teammates because I said in my paid subscription video earlier, I don't really accept Igor hate. It's just not tolerated. This is a really good netminder. This guy's been excellent, but his team has really fallen short for him. Once again, a guy like Igor winning only 50% of his starts doesn't make sense. The numbers are there. The numbers are good. Now, listen, as a team, the Rangers dropped their last 3 straight, and they did allow 14 total goals in those losses. So we're starting to see that bad play trickle into the goaltending. And listen, that's bad news because they're facing a very good Winnipeg squad who's 23-5-4 at home. Toughest team in the league to score goals against. Listen, I don't give futures advice ever, but if you get a good price on a future with Winnipeg, I highly recommend you go for it. They're probably going to get a good number, and this is a great team. This is a really good hockey club. Defenseman Dylan Sandberg's a plus 27. Dylan DeMello a plus 26. And obviously the X factor in any Winnipeg contest, it's goaltender Connor Hellebuck. He's 37-9, 201 goals against average. Bucks recorded 6 shutouts this season. He's got a save percentage of .926. I've been calling him the brick wall all year long in my premium videos. This guy just doesn't let anything past him. If he's in net, you got a chance to win, period. Now, no real surprise, Winnipeg games went 60% to the under in their last 10. You can thank Hellebuck for that. Meanwhile, the Rangers saw unders recently with Washington, Islanders, Predators. I like Winnipeg minus $1.75, under 6. Don't want to lay the goal and a half because I think that total's staying under. It's just a tight window. We'll just take the money line, pay the excessive juice. All right, next matchup, Canadiens Canucks, 10 o'clock East. Vancouver is $1.60, totals 5.5. Kevin Lankinen for the Canucks, Sam Montembeault for Montreal. Sammy's got a goals against average in the 2s, save percentage in the 900s. When it comes to the puck line, the Habs successfully covered in 4 out of their last 5 on the road. They're facing a Vancouver squad who failed to cover in 6 out of their last 10 themselves. They're just 12 and 19 against the puck line in all of their home games. And as solid as the Canucks have been on defense, they're just not getting to the net enough on offense. They're getting only 25 pucks on net a game. Now, oddly enough, 6 out of these teams' last 9 head-to-head gatherings did get over the total. So once again, if you're into historical trends, plenty of overs to go around. Meanwhile, Montreal saw overs recently with Buffalo, San Jose, and Ottawa. Give me the Canadiens plus 1.5, over 5.5 goals. Next showdown, Capitals, Ducks, 10 o'clock East. Washington's $1.90 on the road, total 6. Logan Thompson for the Caps, Lucas Dostal for Anaheim. And even though Dosty's been solid in the crease, listen, we have not trashed Dostal this year. This guy is like, he's their best player. He gives them a chance to win. But unfortunately, as good as Dosty's been, the Ducks took the loss in 5 out of their last 8. They're in the bottom 5 in goals per game on offense. Just not doing a good enough job lighting up the lamp. And like I said, you know, Dostal's been tough in the net for Anaheim, but he's facing 32 shots on goal a game on average. That's most in the NHL. Teammates are not doing him any favors. And unfortunately for Dosty, he's facing the highest goal-producing team in the NHL in the Capitals. Alex Ovechkin, he scored 33 times this year, plus 16. Dylan Strome, club leader in assists and points. Of course, honorable mention, that's got to go to Alexei Protas, who's a plus 35. That's tied for the league best in plus minus. The Caps games went 7-3 to the over in their last 10. 3 out of Anaheim's last 4 at home got over the total themselves. Give me the Caps minus 1.5, over 6. Next game, Islanders Kings, 10:30 p.m. East. LA's minus $1.70, totals 5.5. Darcy Kemper for the Kings, Ilya Sorokin for New York. Now, listen, Sorokin's done a nice job for the Isles, but they just haven't been good enough on offense. New York's 26th in goals per game on the offensive end of the ice. And they're taking on a Kings team who does not give you a ton of opportunities to score. They're allowing only 25 pucks on net a game. That's second lowest in the NHL. Defenseman Joel Edmondson's a plus 18. Darcy Kemper, 19-8 in the net. Goals against average of .233. LA contest went 4-2 to the under in their last 6 at home. Isles contest went 60% to the under in their last 10. I like the Kings minus $1.70, under 5.5. And with that, folks, we're going to jump into our next and final breakdown for the video. Preds Sharks, 10:30 p.m. East. Nashville's $1.70, total 6.5. UC Soros for the Preds, Alex Gorgiev for San Jose. And even though Gorgie's certainly had his struggles this year, the Sharks have successfully cashed in on the puck line in 6 out of their last 10. As a matter of fact, San Jose's currently got a winning record against the puck line for the entire year. They're 38-27 against the number. They're facing a Nashville team who's covering in just 35% of their road games. The Preds are also a bottom 3 goal-producing team on offense. They were shut out 2 times within their last 8 games. Now, Predators contest went 60% to the under in their last 10. 2 out of San Jose's last 3 at home stayed under the line. Give me the Sharks plus 1.5, under 6.5 goals. And with that, folks, we are going to jump into our quick pick recap in just a moment. Just got to double check. Let's see what we're promoting. 3-0 last 3 gold at 71%, 31. Okay. All right. Quick pick recap. Cincinnati minus 6 over 139. Grambling minus 5.5 under 133. I'm 3-0 my last 3 Gold Club tier package plays on my premium page. 77%? I forgot already. 71% in our last 31 in that same package. Notre Dame +4 over 137.5. Give me the under 134 in that Colorado-TCU matchup. I like the over 139.5 in the Cal-Virginia Tech game. Rider +4 over 137. Sam Houston State +1.5 over 146. Vermont -3 under 123.5. I like the under 142.5 in that Arizona State-Kansas State matchup. Florida State -2.5 under 152. Florida A&M -8 under 144. Give me the over 143 in that Fairfield-Sacred Heart matchup. Bryant -10 over 153. Western Kentucky -3.5 under 143. Under 156.5 in that UCF-Utah matchup. Cleveland -17.5 over 225 in the NBA. Detroit -14 over 233. I like the over 232.5 in that Bucks-Pacers game. Clippers -6 over 223. NHL, Columbus +1.5 over 6. Florida Panthers -1.5 over 5.5 goals. Give me the over 5.5 in that Senators-Flyers game. Vegas Golden Knights -1.5 over 6.5 goals. Give me the under 5.5 in that Lightning Hurricanes matchup. Minnesota Wild +1.5 over 5.5 goals. Winnipeg -175 under 6. Canadians +1.5 over 5.5 goals. Capitals -1.5 over 6. Kings -170 under 5.5. Give me San Jose +1.5 under 6.5 goals. And with that, folks, that's going to do it for me. Don't forget to check me out on my premium page. Just a friendly final reminder, if you do end up getting a membership here today on my premium site, you're going to get access to that membership every single day for the next 30 days. And as an added bonus, you're also going to get access to all of my cheaper memberships during that time frame, absolutely free. Going to be included with your membership. That's why I always tell folks, that Gold Club package, it's a full access, all-inclusive membership. Gives you access to every single premium selection of mine, every single package, every single day for the next 30 days. But most importantly, folks, got to thank you for joining me right here on the free video. Really hope you enjoyed all this great free content, all this great free information. And with that said, folks, happy Tuesday to you. Best of luck to you. And I look forward to seeing you later on today on my premium page.